This is a tornado warning. Tornado warning.
Canada, a country not known for its severe weather, especially not tornadoes. The only Canadian tornado people can really name is the 2007 Eli F5, and its only notability was that, well, it's Canada's only F5/EF5. Every other Canadian tornado lives in the shadow of the Eli tornado. And in this video, we cover a small system of violent storms that would produce 5 tornadoes, 2 being rated F4, as one would go through the towns of Woodstock and Waterford, and the other started in Stratford and plowed through Hickson. In this video, we cover the meteorological setup, the 5 tornadoes, and their aftermath. On the morning of August 7th, 1979, a relatively cool and dry air mass was being pushed in from the north by means of a cold front, into a warm and unstable air mass brought up from the southern United States. Severe weather had already affected northeastern Ontario the evening before with this same cold front, and during the late morning of the 7th, the front had stalled across the Bruce Peninsula, where several thunderstorms would develop and produce a couple of weak F1 tornadoes near the towns of Wyerton, home to the greatest town mascot in the world, and Tara. It has been speculated that a large outflow boundary associated with these particular storms may have interacted with the cool lake breezes, resulting in the Woodstock and Stratford tornadic supercells later that day. The Ontario Storm Prediction Center in Toronto issued a severe thunderstorm watch for southwestern Ontario at 3:40 p.m. The first thunderstorms of the afternoon began forming over Lake Huron before coming ashore in southern Bruce County. Storm motion was primarily to the southeast, which is very uncommon as most tornadoes and their parent supercells head to the northeast. As these storms quickly began to intensify, reports of large hail began to pour in. A severe thunderstorm warning was issued at 6:15 p.m. for Oxford, Perth County, and Waterloo region in response to the large hail. A broken line of intense thunderstorms tracked towards Highway 401 near Woodstock, with the 2 most intense storms located near Stratford and Embro. At this point, a tornado touchdown was just minutes away, as they began to mature into powerful supercells, which may have been caused by those lake breezes mentioned earlier. At 6:18 p.m., the supercell thunderstorm located near Stratford spawned a tornado a couple of kilometers south of the town. Moving to the southeast in a hurry, at a speed of approximately 60 kilometers an hour, it quickly became stronger, and as it passed north of Hickson some 20 minutes later, its path had widened to a kilometer as the tornado attained F4 intensity. Farm homes and outbuildings along the path were leveled by the tornado. The tornado began to move more erratically as it curved towards the east-northeast as the tornado began to weaken and dissipated at 4 kilometers east of Bright at 6:56 p.m., leaving behind 30 kilometers of damage. Somewhat eerily, the tornado damage path resembles a backward checkmark, as if the tornado felt like it was a job well done. At around 6:52 p.m., a separate supercell thunderstorm northeast of Embro dropped a tornado near the village of Goulspie. As it began to head southeast, it rapidly closed in on the city of Woodstock. As it approached Woodstock, the tornado quickly widened over half a kilometer and took on the appearance as a dark stovepipe or borderline wedge tornado. As many as 300 structures sustained damage in a 4-kilometer track from Ingersoll Road through 6th Avenue to Parkinson Road and approaching Highway 401. A church and a school near the intersection of Highway 401 and Norwich Avenue were both destroyed. Trees that remained standing were partially debarked, and in a few instances, straw and other small objects were found embedded into the trunks of trees. Some pieces of debris were sucked into a pond in Southside Park, only for the pond to be sucked dry by the tornado, and a 14-foot aluminum boat was carried for almost a kilometer. Crossing Highway 401, it blew a tractor-trailer rig into the median on a highway, severely injuring the driver. However, he would survive. After the tornado left Woodstock, it grew to its maximum size. As it passed over the town of Oxford Center, a small place outside of Woodstock, the damage path width had reached 1 kilometer. Within 2 minutes, the tornado swallowed all 30 homes that housed 250 people. Everything in the hamlet was destroyed, along with the local church and community center in Oxford Center. As the tornado approached the town of New Durham, a satellite tornado developed and paralleled the tornado to the south. The towns of New Durham and Vanessa met a similar fate to Woodstock and Oxford Centre thereafter. A partially filled 40-foot silo constructed of concrete 6 inches thick toppled over on a farm somewhere between Oxford Centre and New Durham. The 2 deaths were in the New Durham area, as a 51-year-old man was killed instantly after being thrown some 200 feet from his 2-ton vehicle, and a woman died after being hit with flying glass. At this point, the funnel had been on the ground for over 20 minutes and was easily over a mile wide. During this stretch of the tornado's path, 2 vehicles on 2 separate farms were tossed nearly a kilometer. In addition to the powerful tornado, hail the size of tennis balls fell north of its track, destroying entire tobacco fields on dozens of farms. Eyewitnesses also reported that the tornado was preceded by intense and nearly constant lightning, unlike anything that they had ever seen before. Continuing its southeastward track, the satellite tornado lifted after 34 minutes and 21 kilometers on the ground. These stats are similar to the Hickson tornado, however the satellite tornado only had the intensity of an F0. The tornado damaged several more homes in the north end of Waterford at 8 p.m. One Waterford resident, Tom Sweich, said in his song A Tornado, quote, "We all remember where we were that day. A tornado tore our town away." After causing severe damage in Waterford, the tornado dissipated southeast of the town after 66 minutes and 60 kilometers on the ground. All thunderstorm activity in southwestern Ontario ended by 9:30 p.m., as the cold front moved south of Lake Erie. As the sun rose on the 8th, the tornadoes were in the headline of the newspaper, and people from surrounding towns and cities came to help pick up the debris. One of them was my dad, who was there.
Right, so you guys drove out there. What was it like?
Bad. Like a war zone. We just drove through like a little bit of it. I remember us driving out there, and I remember hearing about it because I was scared. It's kind of like Woodstock back then was just farmers.
Following the tornadoes, thousands were homeless. 350 homes were rendered uninhabitable, and 2 people were dead in addition to 142 injuries. Farmsteads over a century old were completely wiped off the map in some instances. Given the immense amount of damage at hand, the number of people affected, and the relative lack of effective weather warnings due to it being the late 70s and on top of that being in Canada, which is always lacking behind the US in terms of severe weather research and warnings, it is remarkable that only so few were killed. Somewhat incredibly, some debris carried by the Woodstock tornado began appearing near the shores of Lake Erie. Cancelled checks, dollar bills, photographs, pieces of installation, and even plywood were among some of the items discovered. To conclude, many extraordinary things occurred from the tornado, from it heading southeast, to only 2 people being killed despite the intense damage and lack of warning, and all the way to debris being found in Lake Erie. It's a day unknown by pretty much everyone outside of southern Ontario or under the age of 35. In my opinion, every significant tornado that has ever occurred in Canada, besides the Eli tornado, is never talked about nearly enough. And for that reason, you can expect more Canadian tornadoes to be discussed on this channel. If you considered subscribing, I will see you next time. Goodbye. Near the intersection of Highway 401 and Norwich Avenue were both destroyed. Ooh.